Welcome back to Louisiana Football TV Magazine. We've got Tommy Hodson on the show tonight, former LSU quarterback, Central Lafourche. I think they're called the Trojans, is that correct?
Absolutely.
Out of Matthews, Louisiana. We're going to talk about his days at Central Lafourche, some of his ex-teammates that he played with at LSU and at Central Lafourche. Mike Duplantis, an offensive lineman, Ben Bordelon. His brother, Matt Hodson, was a tight end at Nicholls State. We're going to have Don Jones on later on, the head coach from Woodlawn High School, Jimmy Lear. Talk about Woodlawn. The history at Woodlawn is amazing. But what people don't realize, when I think of Woodlawn in the last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, they had a tight end playing football named Contrell Gransberry, who was 6'8", 250 at wide receiver. And he looked like Harold Carmichael from the old days with the Eagles. And he ended up being a great basketball player, going to South Florida after LSU. And I hear he's got a chance to make the NBA, or did make an NBA team this year. For his basketball career. But Tommy, I appreciate you taking the time to.
Yeah, you've been threatening to have me on for quite a while.
I don't know about that.
But,
but I ran into you too. I even went up to Shreveport.
That's right.
On a business trip to go meet Chris Davenport at Mansfield, and I seen you. You were
yeah,
business.
That's part of my territory that I cover for business. Yes.
But being a quarterback, I mean, we could talk a long time, but I got to piece it up. I got to start back at Central Lafourche. Everybody knows that you were a Heisman candidate at LSU, played in the NFL a few years, but what was it like growing up, Tommy, in Matthews, Louisiana, where, like you said, the only thing there is the school, and down the street is South Lafourche, and you've got the H.L. Bourgeois and home and all in that area. What was it like growing up playing football?
Well, I grew up a basketball fan. I grew up a basketball nut. My dad was more of a basketball player, but football's king in the South Louisiana area, and everybody had to play football. And when you grow up in a small town, now Central Lafourche was a big high school, but we drew from a bunch of little small towns, and you had to get the athletes to go out and play every sport where I grew up in. And so I just kind of took a liking to it when I played at Lockport Junior High, and then I go to Central Lafourche. And I was fortunate that Bob Groh, my head football coach, had come from Nicholls State, and he was a college kind of guy, liked pro-style offense. And he really sought me out and said, we're going to throw the ball, you're going to be a good quarterback, and we're going to put in an offense that's going to we're going to throw it, and it's going to showcase you a little bit. And so I'm just thankful that he was there at that time. It was perfect timing for me. But everybody growing up there has got to play football.
And growing up and going to Central Lafourche, you played some years with your brother Matt?
Actually,
or was he after?
Matt's
after?
Younger than me. And I played with my brother Ray.
Okay.
There's 5 boys in my family, so we all kind of crossed paths. I played a little bit with my brother David, and he was younger, a couple of years younger. And but my older brother Ray, we were like twins growing up, and we played on the same teams, basketball and football teams growing up. And he was a tight end as well. All of my brothers were pretty good high school players.
All skill guys.
Tight end, if you call a tight end a skill guy.
Right.
Brian Kinchin would have a debate with me.
Right,
we debated on whether a tight end's a skill guy.
Deep snapper, too. He deep snapped a long
well, he's
time.
a skill guy. He's a skill guy.
Central Lafourche, go back to that. Back in 83?
83, 4, and 5. I graduated in 85 out of Central Lafourche.
But not a lot of teams passed back then, correct?
No.
Now everybody passes.
Yeah, and defenses were set up to stop the run, and nobody threw the football, and certainly the Lafourche Parish, and in our district, nobody threw the football. It had been quite some time. I think Joe Ferguson in '69, around that era, they threw the football a lot, and he held a lot of the state records. But we ended up my senior year. We had some good running backs my junior year. We didn't throw. We threw the ball more than most, and I threw for over 1,000 yards my junior year. But my senior year, we really threw the ball a lot, and finished with over 3,000 yards that season as a senior. But again, Bob Groh, new offense. It was pretty simple, but a good offense, and defenses were set up to stop the run, and the pass was something that kind of was, we'll try to stop it, and we had a lot of success.
Now, your rival, you said, was really South Lafourche, Tarpons, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And what was that like every week?
Well, South Lafourche beat us South Lafourche has a tradition of playing good football, and they'd won the state championship twice in the 70s, and they have a proud history there of good football. And we were kind of the doormat. Central Lafourche was the doormat of the district for quite a while. I think they had like a 15-year winning streak on Central Lafourche, and we beat them as a junior and a senior. So we beat them 2 years there in a row to kind of change the tide there a little bit. And we won the district championship my senior year.
Yeah, and a lot of guys come out. Bob Burnett played with the Redskins. Nicky Savoy went to LSU.
Yeah.
Ryan Thomasy.
Yeah, Bobby J, Billy Bob.
All those guys come out of there.
A lot of good players from South Lafourche.
What is there a game? You told me that in basketball, the night you committed and signed with LSU, you scored 47 points in a basketball game?
I did, but anybody that's ever watched me play basketball, they understand because I shot the ball every time. So you
you're a ball hog a little bit?
Yeah, I never turned down a shot. And they said, well, if you shoot the ball that much, you're bound to score sometimes.
But you were the point guard, right?
I did, yeah. I grew up, my dad, like I said, was a basketball player, and he knew I was going to be about 6'2", 6'3", roundabout. And he said, I'm going to teach my boy how to handle the ball. Handle the ball, because that's what he's going to have to play in college.
What do you think, Tommy? I mean, back then, I started following recruiting back when you were in school, and I was in school a little bit after that. But if you didn't weigh 190 pounds, 200 pounds now, they don't even look at you as a quarterback. Back then, you were under 170, right?
I was 165, 6'2 and a half, 165 pounds. So I don't even know if I would have gotten recruited in football nowadays and never lifted a weight. I bench pressed like 135 pounds coming out of high school. So, and I can bench about 155 now. So.
No combines back then, though. No combines.
No combines. They just invited you to go to the football camps. Coach Daigle, Jesse Daigle, recruited me. He was at LSU at the time, and he begged me to go to LSU's football camp, and I was like, I'm going to basketball camp. So I didn't even go to a football camp.
Tommy, we're going to take a break. We come back, and we'll talk about your NFL career.
That'll be a short segment.
No, you played 6 years in the NFL, but when we come back, after that, the next segment after that, we're going to talk about LSU and his days at LSU with the late Eric Andelsek, Ruffin Rodriguez, Joe Abergamo, Sammy Martin. We can name several, Ralph Norwood, the late Ralph Norwood. So we'll be back in just a moment with more Louisiana Football TV Magazine.